And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Skip Happens. Live from the beautiful Northeast, I can tell you that much. And also a Mets fan, by the way. But my name is Skip Clark. I'm the host of Skip Happens. And again, thank you for being here tonight. You know, we try to do this on a weekly basis, if not more. And I like to focus on the new independent artists, some of the well-established artists, and I even bring them back again and again. For example, right there, 3 years ago, I had to look it up. 3 years ago, I talked to her. Her name is Lucie Tiger. Now, 3 years ago, when I talked to her, she was like down under. And when I say down under, she was in, I believe, Sydney, Australia, correct?
Correct.
That is right. And now... And you told me at that time that it wouldn't be long before you would be relocating to the United States. And here you are. You went from enjoying a birthday in February on the beach to a birthday in February in the middle of winter in the United States. And Lucie, how are you?
I'm so good, Skip. I'm so happy to be back. I remember we had so much fun last time, and I'm just happy to be here in Alabama.
Alabama.
Tonight.
Wow. So why Alabama?
Well, I like it. I really like it. It's, I mean, you don't move somewhere you don't like, but you know, I live in the Shoals area, so it is just steeped in music history. It's known for the Allman Brothers. It's known for Aretha Franklin. It's known for basically all of my favorite records, and probably a whole bunch of other people's. And it's actually just a really nice little area. It's 4 little towns. It's right on the Tennessee River, and everyone's nice. Everyone's friendly. It's great.
Is it hot and humid?
They all they all complain about it being really humid, but I mean, Sydney, Australia has very similar weather to New Orleans. Is the closest
really?
I can put it. So Sydney humidity is on steroids compared to here. Everyone kind of walks around going, "Oh my God, it's so muggy today," and I'm sitting there going, "It's really nice." It's like 70%. What are you talking about? So I think it's great.
Yeah. Do you get to head back to Australia at all? Do you have family there? I know we were talking off the air a little bit about the award shows and all that, but is that about the only time that you go back and family's like, "Oh, I know her"?
Yeah. I mean, I do have a very, very small family. And a lot of the family that I have in Australia didn't live in Sydney. So I didn't actually see them all that much. And we said to them, "Hey, come over to the States, come and visit us." We've only been here a few months, but I mean, my folks moved with me and my cats.
Oh, cool.
So I kind of have like everything I need.
I get it. You were talking about Alabama because of all the music history, all that background, but I mean, there's also Nashville. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
And
you had Alabama, you had Nashville.
yeah, it's so handy because, Nashville is 2.5 hours away from where I live. So,
That's pretty cool.
I've gone up there for co-writes, for songwriting. I've gone up there for shows and driven back that night. It's not that far away at all. And I mean, Nashville is very busy. So I
Very.
came from a busy city. I mean, I think Nashville is, I don't know if Nashville is like 1 million people yet. It's probably
Pretty
getting very
close.
close.
Pretty
But
close.
yeah, Sydney is 5 million.
Wow.
So I kind of did my time in a big city, and Nashville is super fun to visit. But I really like my kind of small town living in Alabama.
I totally get that. You can run up, do your co-writes, do your writes, run
Yeah.
up and get a cup of coffee if you want, just to get a couple of hours is nothing.
I want to go like the best of both worlds, really.
Yeah, I want to talk about your music a little bit, but first of all, I want to ask if you've ever seen there's a movie out there. Well, it's maybe a documentary. It's about a little less than an hour, and it's called Nashville, the craziest city in the world. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
No. It sounds good.
Somebody, no, it's interesting, and it really makes you think about Nashville, whether or not you really want to move there. So, but it's good and it's bad. So it's whatever you get out of it. But it was on. I don't know if you have a smart television and you got all the different apps, but
I'll
it's
check
on
it out.
Tubi,
Okay.
Tubi. That's where I found it. It's called Nashville, the craziest city in the world. So
It's good. I'll check that out. That sounds
yeah,
good.
you should. I mean, I had a buddy of mine that works for a label in Nashville. Said you got to check this out. And you might think a little bit different about Nashville, but I didn't. I still love Nashville. It's still all, but it was just very interesting. So let's talk
I love
about your
it. I
music,
love
Bill. I mean,
music.
I love it. It's been like I said, 3 years. I'm trying to think. When we talked before, you had was it gasoline? Was it gasoline?
Yeah. Yeah, it probably was.
So that was about 3 years ago.
Mhm.
And now, I mean, you've been working on a lot of stuff. You've been putting out a lot of music here and there. You've got Hummingbird as your first single for 2024. Tell us about that a little bit.
So Hummingbird is such a favorite of mine, and it's a real sort of crowd favorite as well. I noticed that, I would be playing it at shows, and people would kind of be like dancing in their chairs or getting up and having a bit of a dance. And, I remember I was playing the Shoals Songwriters Festival, which is fantastic. And it's going to
Mhm.
be having its fifth festival this year. It happens in November. And I played it at a kind of a songwriters showcase thing. And then later on, a couple of the girls that had been in the audience, they bumped into me later and they were like, "Oh, we love that song you played where you're like, I just want to, yank that hummingbird sing." And they're like singing the chorus back. They'd only heard it that one time. And I
Oh,
thought,
wow.
okay, this song is like kind of striking a chord with people, and so when it came to, the first single that we were going to put out this year, I thought, let's kind of like start strong and let's go with that one.
Wow, I love it. So how about the writing of that? And who did you write that with and all that?
Well, I wrote that with myself.
That's all the
I
better.
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of writing myself, but just by myself. Um,
Uh-huh.
I do like co-writes. I do a lot of co-writing too. But I
Mhm.
feel like I just write a lot of my best stuff kind of just on my own. I feel like I know what my brain's doing, and I kind of, and also, I don't have some situation where like, someone else has put a line in a verse and I go, "I really don't like that." But, so at least with
Does
my
it
songs,
sound like
I can kind of change it if I want to.
yeah, listen to this. This is it? I think this is the live version.
I wanna feel the road underneath me rolling. Got no one to see, nowhere to go, but I know yes, I gotta get going now. I think you'll see when you see me coming. Two-lane blacktop
Yeah.
engine humming. Got the stereo turned up all the way. Gotta let 'em know I'm coming round today. Oh, all this free-bird wants is to fly away. Just wanna drive down them no-name highways, hit 1,000,000 miles on the back roads, baby. Just follow them white lines. Take the long way every time. Just wanna run my song.
All right, I need to ask a question, and I'm sure everybody's wondering, where's your accent when you sing?
A lot of people do ask that. I think it's there's a couple of things there. One thing is that when you speak in an Australian accent, it's actually kind of pitched. There's like a technical answer and like a fun answer. And so the technical
Okay.
answer is that with the Australian accent, it's pitched at the back of your palate, basically in your mouth. And when you sing, you're supposed to sing in the front of your palate. And that is where the American accent is. So already you're going to be pushing into that anyway when you sing. And the second thing is that I listen to a lot of American music. I
Mhm.
feel like my sound is more American than Australian anyway. And I also can't stand listening to songs sung in an Australian accent. I hate it. I hate it. Like, I just don't like it. The vowel sounds are just very, very. I know Taylor Swift has started kind of doing like she'll kind of go like I instead of like when she sings the word like I as in me,
Mhm.
and I'm just like, ooh, it just like grates on me a little bit. I don't like how it sounds. So
Yeah. Mm.
yeah, it just naturally just falls into that.
Do you think somebody like you being an artist, doing what you do and singing, and do you think it kind of it's a bit of laziness when somebody like Taylor does that? It's just like she's just, I mean, you say it bothers you. You're a perfectionist. I get that. And it should be sung this way and not this way.
Well, I think it's a stylistic thing as well. I guess it really I mean, I don't know why people have started doing it just recently, especially
Mm.
with the word I. Um,
Ah,
I mean, I guess it does that's what I notice. It does definitely make that word stand out in a lyric, I
mm,
guess. So
okay.
maybe it's got to do with making it stand out. Um, but yeah, I'm not a fan.
I get it. I get it. No, no, I get it. I totally understand what you're saying. Yeah. So you're in Alabama. You said your mom and dad moved in with you
Yeah.
or moved over here with you. Are you actually living with mom and dad still or in Alabama?
Yeah, for the time being,
Good.
we all three of us kind of, got a place together, and we actually we literally just put these things up on the wall like today.
You
Because
got to
I
get
was
something up. I'm
like,
going on a podcast.
where am I gonna do this podcasting? And I was like, we should do it in here. Let's put these things up. And
I
so
love it. I love it.
I mean, Alabama is kind of you get like far more for your dollars here. So it's
No, no,
fantastic. We
totally.
like it.
I totally see that. And to have the support of your mom and dad, making the trip and supporting you and
Yeah.
just being with you along your ride here, that's pretty cool. That is really
Yeah.
cool.
I mean, my mum, we all three of us have, the requisite visas and everything. And my mum's
Mhm,
visa is kind of connected to mine. She does a lot of booking for me
mhm,
in terms
mhm.
of shows and a lot of like management and admin as well. So, it kind of just made sense. And I'm an only child.
I got
So kind of
I
one of
got you.
those like luck of the draw things, if I had a brother or a sister, it would be much harder for them to just like, pick up
Right.
and move to Alabama with me. Um, but yeah, we
It's
all
just
kind of came over and we love it.
it's such a big move. When you think about it, it's a big move. It's not like, you know, even if I was to move from New York to California, that still doesn't even compare from you moving from Sydney, Australia to the Shoals in Alabama. I mean,
I know
that's a
sometimes
lot.
I get a bit wrapped up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't gotten this done and I haven't gotten that done and I still don't have a driver's license. I can drive. I have an Australian one that semi transfers, but I do actually need to get. I've
Wait a
been here
minute. Did
7
you, how
months.
long? Okay. So you need to get a driver's license here in the United States, but
They
you
are a little
have,
bit
I
more
don't
relaxed about it here.
really.
And I'll
All
tell
right.
you
All
what,
right.
you have to be doing something really, really, really bad to get pulled over. Because in 7 months,
Here.
I've never been pulled over.
Well, thank God.
So I don't know. Knock on wood, it won't happen tomorrow, and I won't have to try and
Let's
explain
hope
why I
not.
don't have a driver's license still.
I don't want to be the fault of that. I don't want anything to do with that. Be careful. That's all. But I was thinking that 3 years ago when we chatted, for some reason, I don't know if you had a driver's license then or not. But unless it was somebody else I was chatting with, but they did not have a driver's license. So that's why I'm thinking, I don't know
Well,
if it was you or not.
I do. I do.
You did. All right. All right. Now, so you got Hummingbird. You've been doing a lot of writing. You seem to be putting out a lot of music. It's like one after the other. Now we have Bucket of Beer.
Mhm.
I'd love the title. I almost
Yeah.
brought down a bucket of beer when I was doing this because I did read about it a little bit. And I said, I should go get some like little ones and put them in a bucket with some ice and have them on the table here. But yeah, tell us about that a little bit.
Okay, well, I once had someone describe me as a champagne girl. And
Okay.
I mean, I like champagne. It's nice, especially when it's free. But that's when I like it the most when it's free. I'm not going out
Oh,
of my way to kind of, drink champagne all the I had never actually drunk champagne in front of this person. I had always drunk like beer in front of them. So I
okay.
was like, where on earth are you getting this idea? Like, I'm constantly in like, graphic tees and like, I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
walking around wearing like designer brands. I don't know where they got this idea. Um, this was back in Australia too. Like we drove like a 30-year-old car. Like like
I
none of this
love it.
made sense. But I was like, look, I love champagne if it's free, but I'm not a champagne girl. You know what really, really gets me going is a bucket of beers. Like that's when I'm like, it's served in a bucket. I'm like, this is great. There's like 4 like Coors Lights in there. I'm thinking this is going to be an awesome time. That's the kind of bar I want to go to,
Mhm.
is the one that serves their beers in a bucket. Like
I love it. I love it.
so that was the whole idea behind that song. Like I'm the kind of person who, recently we celebrated my parents' wedding anniversary, and as an only
Mhm.
child, it's something
Oh,
that, I often celebrate with them, having,
absolutely.
at times single-handedly kept their marriage together. And but we went to like a dive bar for their
Those
wedding.
are the best. Those are the best, Lucy. I love
That's
those.
right. That's what I love. So this song was all about saying like, you know, there's nothing wrong with being like a champagne girl unless you're like a stuck-up bitch. But, that's not me.
This is why I like you. This is
Yeah.
awesome
I
because you
call it
tell it the
spade a
way it is.
spade.
You tell it the way it is. But that's cool. So we've got bucket of beer, and so I'm going to talk about beer for a minute. We have different beer here than you had in Australia.
Yeah, we didn't have Coors Light in Australia.
That- That's kind of where I was going. For example, what are some of the brands in Australia?
So the most well-known one in America is one called Foster's, and it's terrible. It's so terrible. I
I
think they
know.
export it
Okay.
here. No one in Australia drinks it because it's terrible. It's like, ugh. But if I had to like pick an Australian beer, a lot of them are very they got very big into craft beer, which is okay, like, but they can
Mhm,
sometimes be
mhm.
very sort of like intense, and it's
Yeah,
like,
no,
I literally just wanted to chill out. So
you have to have a taste
yeah,
for it. But go
I
ahead.
like a lager. I really like a lager. A lot of American beers are lagers. I really like them.
Mhm,
They're kind of just like
mhm.
easy to drink, I guess. They're
How about
not
like a
they're not,
Guinness?
like, sort of fighting you back.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. Do you drink like Guinness or anything like that? That's like a lager.
Well, I mean, that's very intense, and it kind of fills
Yeah,
you up.
yeah.
I mean,
It
my
does.
last name is actually O'Connor, and my family actually is Irish, but we tend not to drink Guinnesses all that much, especially if we wanna have a meal as well. You have, like, 2 of those, and you're like,
No,
"Well, I
exactly.
need dinner."
Yeah. No, you're not hungry after that. I totally get it. So let's get back to the music a little bit. So you've put out these 2 songs. What else do we have coming from Lucy Tiger?
Well, I've got a couple more singles for this year, and I do actually have an album coming very soon too. And in fact, I've just been talking
Mhm.
about it this week, and what I'm going to put on it, and what I'm going to sort of release before it comes out, and what's going to be on the album that no one's heard before, and it's very exciting. It's gonna be an album of all the songs that I recorded as I was kind of, because I came to the Shoals in Alabama 5 times before I moved here. So I
Right.
spent, probably about 6 weeks or so here cumulatively. And every time I came, I would do like a recording session because, I was only going to be here for like 2 weeks or something. And, may as well get some songs in the can. And,
Mhm.
so I have all these songs, something like 15 that
Wow.
have yet to come out on like an album. So some of them I've put out as
Mhm.
singles already. But yeah, so that will be coming. I'll probably announce that towards the end of the year, I think, probably. And it'll probably be available like in a physical format on my website and at shows and stuff. And then we'll eventually pop it out on streaming as well.
I love that. Do you actively take part in the streaming, like the songs you've just put out? Hummingbird is out there, Bucket of Beer is out there, all that's available, or you could stream it, you can download it, listeners, viewers can buy it, and support you at the same time. So that's kind of cool. So it's all available, right? No matter wherever you get your music, you can probably get your songs.
Oh yeah, Bucket of Beers won't be out until Friday this week, May 3rd.
Right.
But yeah, they're available everywhere. It's pretty global these days.
Do you remember the first song you ever wrote?
I do. It wasn't that great.
Everybody says that.
It was really quite bad. They've gotten a lot better.
But you have to start somewhere. Yeah, I know, but you got to start somewhere, right? And how old were you when the first one came out?
Probably pretty old in terms of you know, I mean, some people are all like, I've been writing songs since I was 12, and you're just like, well, I bet they were crap. But I was probably like 19 or 20.
Yeah. So I mean, so you didn't really start till you were later in your teens, early 20s, or did you start
in terms of writing? Yeah. I mean, I've been playing guitar since I was 8. I've been playing piano since I was 6. Yeah, I've been singing since I was about, you know, 10 or 11, like, you know, semi-professionally, I guess, or at least, you know, in lessons and stuff.
Yeah.
And at the, you know, school choir and all of that sort of stuff. And
when did you first realize that you might have something, or did mom and dad go, hey, you know what? This is really good, honey. We got to see what we can do to, you know, let's see what we can do for you. Or, you know, did you have a passion since you were 8 years old to do something like this?
Well, it was probably a few things. I kind of realized at school that I wasn't very good at anything else. That's always
I'm doing this.
way. So I kind of realized that pretty quickly. Like, there were things that I enjoyed and like I liked learning about, but I just wasn't all that good at. And the stuff that I was good at, you know, doesn't really have a career. Like, I liked history. I mean, what career do you have? You're a history teacher. Like, you know, I'm not entirely sure what career you actually have after that, you know. So, you know, it was kind of one of those things. And then I kind of realized that I did music in high school, and I kind of realized pretty quickly that, and I hate, you know, I don't know how you say it in American, but in Australia we would say, you know, blowing my own horn. And I kind of hate doing that.
I mean, yeah, we say that. I've been blowing my own horn. You know, here I am, and I'm proud of it.
Australians hate doing that. Like, it gets a lot to kind of get it out. But I was kind of probably one of the best kids in my music class. So, you know, everyone else would be nervous to like get on stage, and I'd be like, what are you talking about? This is easy, you know, and they would be doing like really safe songs, and I'd be like, maybe I want to, like, I don't know, play this song that I've never played before in my life and do that for my final exam. And like, it's 3 weeks away, but I can probably do it. Like, and they'd be like, oh, I'm singing a song that I've sung every year for the past, you know. So I kind of realized that I was sort of, I don't know, maybe the most capable out of the class. And I was also, I'm pretty sure, out of my year 12 music class, I was the only person, and it was a pretty big class because I went to quite a big school. Like, there was over 100 people in my year, and there was maybe like 20 people in my music class, and I was the only person that did music following high school. Everyone else just just like dropped it and did, you know, I don't know, law or something. Music wasn't what they were going to do.
Like, right. I'm sorry. I think we're overlapping a little bit. I think there's a little bit of a delay, and I apologize for that. You only like 100 in your class?
in
Let
my
me let
whole year.
in your whole so 12th year is your senior year, correct?
Yeah.
12th year here was my senior year. We had 7 almost 800 people just in my class,
Oh,
just
wow.
in the
Okay.
12th
Wow.
graduating.
Well,
I mean,
high
and
school
it
wasn't that
took
big
a
then.
while to go through. Yeah, it took a little bit to go through. No, it really wasn't. That's why I mean, maybe to you and where you're from, I get that. All right. But
Well,
certain
Sydney,
areas here, the
Australia, yeah. I mean, our whole country, we only have 25 million people. So when you say like 100 people in your year, everyone's like, "Oh, wow, that's a lot." But
holy
yeah,
crap.
I mean, I was the only person after year 12 who actually continued with music. Everyone else
Mhm.
kind of gave it up. So
Well, because you're talented, super talented. You can write, you can sing, you're putting out some great music. You're serious about what you do, and it's pretty evident by the fact that you moved from way over there to way over here.
oh yeah,
And it's not an easy flight either. It had to be like 16 hours, 17 hours. And oof, no, thank you.
it's
And now
not.
with the doors flying off and everything else going on, I don't know if
It's gonna be hard to
just,
get me on a
you
plane
know,
anytime soon. Tell you what,
yeah.
I hate
I
flying.
actually I love to fly. I'm a geek. I'm all about that. I do. If I get to take a trip, I'm all about it. I'm on there. But I saw these t-shirts that say if it's Boeing, I ain't going. And I'm like, "Oh boy." You know. But I mean, the other thing is, and we're getting a little bit off topic here, but everybody's got a phone in their hand, and every little thing now gets documented. And I'm sure these things happened almost every day. A lot of this, maybe, planes turn around, they go back to the airport, they're having a mechanical issue. You never used to hear a lot about those, and it happened all the time. Now something happens, somebody's there with their phone, they're recording it, they're
Yeah,
sending it to whoever. It's crazy, you know? It's crazy. And
definitely probably plays a part, I'm sure.
yeah, and then they're going, "Look at Lucie Tiger's on my flight. I got it right here. I got the picture. I got the picture." That's pretty cool.
She's the
It's
one
pretty
going,
cool.
"Let me
Hey,
off this
well, I might be with you on that. I love to fly, but there's times I get it. So you've made the move. You're here. You're driving back and forth from Nashville. You're putting out some great music. Hummingbird is out there. Bucket of Beer is coming out. If somebody wants to get these, they can go to your social media, and it's all right there for them to purchase, download,
Oh,
and all
yeah.
that good
You just
stuff.
look up Lucie Tiger, and it's Lucie, and then tiger like the animal.
Tiger, I love it.
It's
Tiger.
my middle name.
So there's a lot of I asked before we went on, and because you being Australian, you being from, and I'd love to see Sydney someday. I mean, actually, I think a lot of us here in the States dream of going to Australia just because we hear that it's very beautiful.
Yeah,
And,
Sydney is lovely. It's a lovely place to visit. It's not
and the
planned.
kangaroos are running up and down the road.
No.
No,
No, you
they
have to
don't. I
get
thought the kangaroos like what?
no, you have to get pretty, you have to, I mean, it'll take you, Sydney is very spread out. It's like LA. So you kind of have to drive maybe an hour and a half these days, maybe almost 2 hours to get out of the city. Once you get out of the city and into the bush, that's where you'll start to see some. But they're like deer. So
Now you
you'll see them like at dawn and dusk, and they'll just run out in front of your
oh
car
really?
and you're like, "Mm, yeah."
And bam.
I've never hit one, but I know a lot of
Oh
people that
my God.
have.
I can't even imagine. Yeah, I know you say they're like deer here in the States. There's an overpopulation of deer. They're everywhere now, even in the city areas. So it's kind of
Oh, yeah.
crazy. I know here in the Northeast, we have a lot of them. But you mentioned bush. Bush is a slang term for like a field, woods, something like that. So
Yeah.
I went online and I was looking up different terms because to be honest with you, I didn't know like other guys I've met from Australia. It's always, "Hey mate, how are you?" You know, but what do you call a girl? So I found it's Sheila, I believe. And that's pretty old school, you said.
Yeah, that's pretty old school. Like I feel like the same people who would call guys mate would probably I know that it's sometimes I would go into like a clothing store or something and they'd be like, there'd be some girl who's like, I don't know, 14 years old behind the counter who's like, "Hey, hun." And I'd be like, don't call me hun. Like,
My wife
you're
hates
still
that.
in high school. Like, what are you doing? It's like there is this like tendency around these parts where people who are like literally like 16 years old will be like, "Oh, hey dear." And I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Oh
Like,
boy.
you sound like a nutcase. But yeah, I guess Sheila is kind of old fashioned.
Yeah, my wife hates being called hun. There's
Oh,
somebody, you go through and you get somebody that, okay, hun, you're good to go. So don't ever call me hun. It's crazy. It's
I do
crazy.
like it
So I
sometimes.
was looking up some.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
was just
So
gonna
I
say
was
that
looking up some of
sometimes
these.
around here they call you like you might have like a lovely old like African American lady who's like helping you out and they'll be like, "Okay, we'll just fill this out, baby." And I'm like, I like that. That's fun.
All right.
So
So I I,
you
I, I found out. See it. I'd have a hard time getting used to all that. But what's that? All right, bogan. Bogan. What's that mean?
Bogan is kind of like a redneck, and it's sort of like an insult, like redneck is. But then there are people who are, like rednecks who are like, yeah, I'm a redneck, So like some kind of bogans are like proud of,
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah.
I see here, sweet as,
Oh yeah,
sweet as.
yeah. That I feel like that probably came from New Zealand, but Australia kind of picked it up because that's like a very like it's very New Zealand, but Australians also say it, and they'll be like, it's kind of like, yeah, that's good, you know. I just hear it in my head.
Gotcha.
It's like with a New Zealand accent, with a like sweet as bro.
What about ta?
Ta. My dad says that all the time, and I have to keep telling him people don't understand you when you say that. You have to actually say thank you. But it means like thank you.
So, all right, there you go. Arvo.
That's the afternoon. No one likes to spell out afternoon in a text message when you can just use 4 letters. A-R-V-O.
ARVO.
Arvo.
Hmm.
I'm shocked it
All
hasn't
right.
like
Cheers.
taken on. Cheers is like when you kind of, I don't know, say thanks or when you like cheers your drink or
Yeah, that's. Oh, here's one. Here's one. Faffing around.
I feel like this is something that my like aunt from the country might say, but it's kind of like messing around, I feel.
Okay, messing around. You might hear a mother scold her children by saying, "Stop faffing around." Okay.
Yeah.
Sheila, we talked about. Oh,
Innocently messy.
brekkie. What about brekkie?
Brekkie, that's breakfast. We just shorten everything.
Yeah, I see that. Yep. Oh, here's one. Rack off.
Oh, that's a good one. That is, I mean, if you wanted to be a true Australian, you would say F off, but it means the same thing.
Like everybody else, just step off, leave me alone. But basically the same thing means get lost.
Mhm.
Bush, you mentioned. Oh, here's one. Coldie.
Oh, yeah, that's like a cold beer or a cold drink, I guess, but
Mm.
most specifically a beer.
Says here, coldie. However, don't drink too many coldies or you might get munted.
Munted means drunk.
Oh, that's an drunk. I just read that. But I love it the way they have it. All right, here's one. Here's one. And you mentioned this in the beginning. Well, before you went on, I believe. Flat out.
Okay, so I said this to someone because we do have sayings that we say where we kind of like shorten things. So the whole phrase is flat out like a lizard drinking, right? Because when you picture a lizard, like a, a gecko or something, they're going to be like flat on the,
Right.
desert floor
Yeah.
drinking, right? So, but it doesn't mean you're drinking. It means you're busy. So you're flat out. I'm like flat out is what most people say. And then every now and then you might say, I'm flat out like a lizard drinking. And then I said that to someone the other day and they thought I had been drinking. And I was like, no, I've actually been very productive. I've been very busy.
It's been a busy day. We've done well. Productive day. How about heaps?
Heaps. So we would say like, thanks heaps. So like, thanks a bunch. It just means like lots.
Many, a lot. Yeah. Okay. I'm looking here. There's only a few more on this list. Darrow,
Oh, Darrow.
Derro.
Yeah, Darrow means it's
That's
actually short for something. I forget the word it's short for, but it's like a
derelict.
like a homeless person who's strung out on drugs and
Yep. That's
for money.
exactly what it says. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Uh, how about bathers?
I feel like people don't use that
Swimsuit.
as much anymore, but yeah, it's like swimsuit. I think most people these days use like swimmers. Like my grandma would use the word bathers, but I feel like now we just call them like swimmers.
Oh, here's one. Bludger.
Oh, bludger. That just means someone who's like lazy. So like we have this, how the government gives out money to people who don't have jobs and stuff. And so there are people that
They're
like do it
bludgers.
on purpose who, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep,
We gave
that's what
them
it says. Oh, wait a minute. Here's one. You may know this. Maybe bottle O. Bottle O.
Oh yeah. That's where you buy alcohol. So it's a bottler. It's like a bottle
Okay.
shop. That's
It's
what
a what?
well, we don't call them like liquor stores. We call them bottle shops. So then you shorten bottle
Bottle.
shop to bottle-o.
It says here, you've just gotten back from the bush. You might want more than a coldie. If so, you'll have to head to your nearest bottle-o or liquor store. And
Yeah.
bottle-o can also refer to any shop that sells alcoholic beverages.
I mean, it completely confused
Okay, one
me
more.
when I moved here and they called them all package stores. And I'm like, they're like, oh, you got to get that at the package store. And I was like, the heck is a package store? Like, what? Sorry.
How about Straya? Straya?
Australia. That's just like how we say Australia really fast.
Oh man, I should have. Yeah, now that makes sense. Holy cow! So it's like a whole different language, but not really.
Yeah, and every now and then I do say something, and there are so many things actually. Like there's one thing that I say all the time. Actually, I'll say instead of I got to the bar last night, I'll say I rocked up at the bar. And so,
I'd be going, what?
I rocked up. And so my friend just loves it. She'll be like, you said rocked up, like amazing Alabama accent. I'm like, I did.
You got the Alabama accent, you got the Australian accent,
Yeah.
and together that must be interesting. I gotta love
It's
that.
good. We
That's
have a
so
lot of
cool.
fun.
So, how often, Lucie Tiger, how often do you get to write? Do you write every day? Do you maybe once a week? Are you pretty active with it?
Probably not as active as some people, but then I feel like I have a different sort of process. So I'll kind of come up with an idea and I will write it down, in kind of my notes app on my phone. And then I won't push it. I feel like when ideas get pushed, they don't sound as good. And then I'll just let it, like I had an idea for a song and I remember I went to a show and I had the idea for the song after the show and the show was on February 1 because I remember dates. That's why I was good at history. And, I came up with the chorus for that idea. yesterday. And I just let it sit, and like marinate in my head. I kind of didn't, I just wrote down that little phrase that I had, and
Mhm.
like the kind of concept of the song. And then I kind of wrote like the chorus and the verse. And I wrote the verse like last night as I was trying to get to sleep. I had this idea and I was like, oh, well, I got to like wake up and turn my light on and like write it down. Otherwise, I won't remember it in the morning. And so the second verse will probably come like later this week. And if there's a bridge, I'll probably think of that. And then I'll have a song.
And just you piece it together. That's all. And then you got something.
Yeah, and it
Cool.
all just sort of like comes in. I don't know. I remember Keith Richards, who is like a huge influence of mine. He once said that, all the songs are like out there in the ether, and songwriters, or like the best songwriters. And I'm not saying I'm the best
Mhm.
songwriter, but a lot of the best songwriters just have this antenna, and the antenna just picks up, the song. And I don't know. I kind of feel like that's pretty much what happens for me anyway.
Mhm. Do Yeah, do you, have you been playing any shows in Nashville? Of course, you've been doing some in Alabama, but, do you get out there? Do you play any of the, they've got all the big bars now. Every country artist has a bar. Have you had that opportunity to play some of those?
I haven't. It can be very grueling. I've heard playing those Nashville shows, especially on Broadway. And then of course it's also that thing of like, I don't know if you have this term here, but like a bit of a golden handcuff, where you're playing these shows, you're getting paid reasonably well, you're getting great tips, but you're just playing covers. And so everyone knows you for your
Mhm.
covers. And they don't, then of course, if you want to play an original show, it might not pay as well than the covers show. And then all of a sudden you have this thing of, well, do I do the covers show, which earns more money, or do I do the original show? So I haven't really gotten into that at all. I've played a few songwriters
I
showcases
don't
in
blame you.
Nashville. But I play some great shows down in Florence. I play some really great shows down here in the Shoals. I'm playing a show on Friday night actually, and the band I've got is kind of out of this world. Like I've got a guy called Justin Holder on drums. He is basically the number one session guitar drummer in the Shoals. He's played with like everyone.
Yep.
And he played on
Cool.
all of my records as well. So he's there on Hummingbird and Bucket of Beers. And then on guitar, I've got a guy called Jordan Denton, who is fantastic. He's another, amazing guitarist here. On keys, I got a guy called Brad Kuhn, who played on a whole bunch of my stuff, and he's this incredible session player. And then on bass, I've actually got two-time Grammy award-winning bass player Jimbo Hart, who used to play for Jason Isbell, who
No
has,
way.
who has
Yes.
moved back to town. And he really likes my music. And I said, hey, I need a bass player. And he was like, I'm available. So we're playing a show on Friday night.
That, I saw it on your Facebook, and that is pretty cool. And now that you're mentioning who these guys are, and yeah, absolutely. So, how did you get these guys to play? Did they reach out to you, or did you reach out to them?
I think it's one of those things where they're available to play.
Mhm.
I think they're
I
also
got
in a position where they can kind of pick and choose who they want to play with. They do a lot of recording, like a lot of recording, and Jordan does a lot of live stuff with other people as well. And I mean, what I've done when I moved here is I just joined the community. I just became part of the community. I go out to a lot of shows.
Mhm.
Last week, I was at the Secret Sisters on Saturday night. I was seeing Hippies and Cowboys on Friday night. I was seeing Dylan LeBlanc on Thursday night.
Nice.
On Wednesday night, I was seeing someone, I think. On Tuesday night, I was seeing a bunch of my friends in a band that play every Tuesday night that include Justin on drums, Will McFarlane, who played guitar for Bonnie Raitt for a while, and Kelvin Holly, who is a real good friend of mine. He played guitar for Little Richard and the Amazing Rhythm Aces. So
Nice.
like all these people are just in town,
Mhm. Mhm.
and they're I'm like lucky enough to kind of just call them my friends. I mean, I told you before
Yeah.
we started filming that I had a friend whose cat had kittens. That friend is actually Gary Nichols, who's like the Grammy-winning
Okay.
bluegrass guy who
Yes.
was in the Steel Drivers.
Yep.
Yeah, he lives in town. He actually played at my last show with a band, so he played with me there. And I'm taking one of his kittens and I'm going to call it Gary after him, which I think is fantastic. So I mean, I'm just like joined the community. I think,
I
one
love
of
it.
the best things that you can do when you do move to a new place is
Yeah,
just go
absolutely.
out. Like, you don't always have to get like 17
Mhm.
beers. Like sometimes I go out and just get a Diet Coke and I just watch my
Yeah,
friends.
I know, but you're with your friends.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just watch my
yeah.
friends playing
You
their
know,
shows, and then they come and watch me, or they're playing in my band. So, yeah, it's all just this
and
great
that's the
big
thing to do.
musical
Yeah.
community down here in the Shoals. It's wonderful.
Yeah, and I notice all these names that you've been mentioning and people that you're gonna be playing with or you've gone out and watched, become friends with, and, I don't mean this in a bad way, not that they're old, but they're seasoned.
Yeah,
They know what and they can pick up on something really,
yeah.
really quick and take it
Oh,
and
yeah.
run with it.
That's right. And the other
Oh,
good
I
thing
love
about
that.
this place is a lot of there are those seasoned players, but then a lot of younger people are moving here. And I forgot to mention, one of my friends is going to get up and play a few songs with us on Friday night. Randy O'Dell, he plays guitar for LV Shane. So, and he played the Opry
Ah,
with
he
LV
just
just
had it.
recently.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and all these people are just my friends. So, like, I'll see like Randy at like a show
Oh,
and
I
be like,
love
"Hey,
it.
do you want to play like guitar on a couple, songs next Friday?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm free." So, yeah, we all just like help each other out. I'm singing background vocals for my friend's album release show at the big,
Oh,
theater in town in 2 weeks. And we all just, it's just a big, nice community where we all just,
but
support
that's
each
how
other.
you do it. You just can't be sitting in a corner somewhere. You're getting out there. You're helping others. You're singing with others. You're making friends. You're being active. You're doing everything that you need to do to get the name Lucie Tiger out there. And, you do it right, you're going to be friends for life. I mean, that's pretty
Well,
cool.
yeah. I mean, I think some people
Pretty
use networking just to get what they want. And all power to them. But I like to do it to firstly make
Mhm,
friends. And if those people can then work
mhm.
with me or help me with something later down the track, or I can help them, then fantastic. But,
Yep,
first and foremost, we're
yep.
just all friends.
God, I love that. God, I love that. How many cats do you have?
I have two, and so
You
soon I will
have two.
have three.
And you have the Australian meow, and now you're gonna have Gary, the American, and
I
is there a
know.
difference in the meows? Obviously not. I don't
I'm
think
not
so.
sure. I'm so curious to see if like they can communicate with each other. I mean, my cats they're not young. Like one, I mean, they're not old, but one is 9 and one is 12. So they're definitely like set
Yeah.
in their ways and how they communicate. Um, but the older one tends to pick on the younger one. So the younger one is a little boy called Frank. So I want Frank to have a little
Mm.
friend. So I'm hoping Gary can be his little friend and they
So,
can be like little buddies together.
yeah, was it hard to get them to travel? I mean, that's a long ways to go. You had to keep them in a little cage. That's a long ways to go.
I know there's a company that does it. They like literally just transport pets. And so we got them to do it. And so they flew to LA and then
Oh,
they kind of overnighted somewhere in LA and then they flew to Nashville. And then I drove up and picked them up from the airport. And it was kind of funny
mm.
because they kept sending us updates and they would send us photos. And in the update, they would be like, the cats are doing really great. They're really happy. They're really chilled out. They're having a great time. And then they'd send us these photos where they're going like these terrible photos where they just looked petrified. And I'm like, could you stop sending the photos? Like, can you just
Yeah,
tell me that they're alive without having to send me the photos where they look absolutely traumatized. So, but they made it, and they kind of hid under the bed for about a week, and then but now they're like perfectly fine. They go outside and they look at the squirrels, and they they have
Hmm.
a much
Hmm.
better. I mean, the place that we're in Sydney, because it's so expensive in Sydney, was much smaller than the one we have
Hmm.
here. So they have so much fun. They're very
I
spoiled.
love it. I love it. Lucy, you're awesome. You are awesome. Love your music. I love what you're doing. And it was so nice to catch up with you again. And welcome to the States. You said
Thank
you've only
you.
been here a few months.
Yep,
Yeah.
I've been here 7 months. Um, I have made it through two tornado watches. I've made it through 1 week of snow, which was really not fun because it does not snow at all in Sydney. And this was the third time in my entire life that I saw snow. And it was there on the ground for a week. And I
Wow.
don't know about what they do in New York, but I'll tell you what, Alabama has no idea what to do with snow. So the entire town just shut down for a week. We have like one plow.
I-
So it was
Yeah.
quite,
It's like that. It's like that in Nashville. Same thing. They get snow, they shut down
yeah.
pretty much. Here, we're in upstate New York, in Syracuse, New York, and we can get a foot of snow overnight, and we still get up and go to work. School buses still come. Everybody, because we got the equipment. We got
Yeah.
great crews that take care of the roads and do what they have to do. And it's very rare that everything shuts down. If everything shuts down here, then we're getting a hell of a storm. I'm just
Yeah.
saying. And it's happened. So,
So, but
yeah.
I love it here. It's fantastic. Everything is great. I couldn't have asked for a better place to land. And I've been able to do
Mhm,
some
mhm.
exploring. Been able to drive
Nice.
around the state and do some shows in a couple of other places in Alabama. And it's fantastic down here. I love the South.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Have you ever been to upstate New York?
No, I'd really like to go, but maybe in like June.
I would say, here's the deal. We get the 4 seasons. Yeah, you definitely don't wanna come in January or February, even March. You never know. I mean, we've had snow over the last couple of weeks, and then it's 80 degrees out. So it's like a roller coaster right now. But if you're gonna come to upstate New York, I would recommend that you make the trip like in early October because all the
Yeah,
leaves are turning colors.
read that.
It's an absolute beautiful, beautiful time of the year to be here. We have the Adirondacks, the mountains just north of town, and it's just absolutely beautiful. So keep that in the back of your mind.
I
Just
will.
saying.
I would love to come up and visit you in person.
I would love that. Did you go to CRS?
I was only there for one. I had some work in Nashville that I had to do, so I only was there for Grassroots' karaoke.
I got that. Can't miss that. And I didn't go this year. I wish I did. Um, Always a good time. Lucie Tiger, once again, what is your website? Somebody wants to go on and find out more.
Oh yeah, you just jump onto Lucie Tiger Music, Lucie, Tiger like the animal, Tiger music. That is the website, lucietigermusic.com. If you want to find me on social media, it is at Lucie Tiger Music on everything. And yeah, listen to the music,
Love it.
come and say hey. I love talking to people. Sometimes it takes me a while to get back to people's comments and messages, but that's because it's me doing it. It's not like some random person. So
Yeah, no,
it's me.
it keeps you busy.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Lucie Tiger, you've been on Skip Happens, and we thank you for doing that. Skip is happening for you, and it's very good. It's very good. I mean, you've made the move. Here you are. The music's out. You're with a great promotions company, by the way. I can never say enough about Grassroots.
They're
Love them to death and everybody with them. They are great, and I mean every word of that. I mean, it's just they're fantastic. But you know what? Thanks for joining us here tonight on Skip Happens and finding out about your music. And hopefully, we'll get some viewers and listeners checking out your website and maybe downloading some of your music. So it's pretty cool.
Thank you so much for having me, Skip. It's always such a pleasure talking to you.
I want you to have a great night.
Thank you. You too.
Peace. You are